Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, sorry. If there's any negativity or any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? Won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to talk about today. To talk about us being treated poorly. Okay, what do you mean, Phie? Spirit wants us to sort of, take some time to reflect on where in our lives and where in our relationships with other people we may find ourselves being treated poorly, and to investigate why we allow it. Why do we take it? Do we recognize it? I know that, a lot of the time, if you're existing in a place of lack, existing in a place of unconsciously wanting to be loved, unconsciously wanting to be accepted, unconsciously wanting to be heard, unconsciously, wanting to belong, unconsciously wanting to be seen, we can be so engulfed in those, unconscious need, that in those areas of unconscious lack and need and behave, putting a lot of energy into behavior that we hope would trigger the next person to reciprocate, right, what it is that we believe we need. If you're in a, oftentimes, right, if you're in a place where you believe, or you're unconsciously hoping to receive love, unconsciously hoping to receive attention, unconsciously hoping to be given to, because we're not programmed, generally, if you haven't done the work on yourself, we're not programmed to be vocal about the things that we need, because generally, when we're in those places of need, we also attract people into our lives that aren't exactly the safest people or the safest spaces or dynamics, that you could actually say to somebody and be real and be honest. And where do you actually run to people saying, I need to be loved, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be acknowledged, I want to be given to? It's not an everyday thing where, people see that as something normal. Others out there, they're programmed to see that as odd, right? But the soul aspect that is yearning to be seen, generally not by others, by you, yearning to be loved, generally not by others but by you, yearning to be given to, not by others but by you, yearning to be seen, not by others but by you. I hope I didn't say that already. We translate those feelings and those, that feeling of need as the way we've been programmed to translate it, because of being engulfed in the outside world, as something that we're supposed to need and get from the outside. And we've been programmed on the outside we've been programmed on the outside to emulate what it looks like to receive that from somebody, which also in turn tells us what it looks like to give that to somebody, right? So that's the only way you're able to understand and translate these situations. That's the only way you're able to make sense of, understand, and focus your energy and your acting out, or your perspective, or your understanding of your needs within these feelings and dynamics and whatever it is that you're going through on the inside, right? That yearning for your soul to be seen to by you, not by somebody else, but by you. You translate that yearning as needing to be seen to by someone on the outside. So, with all of that going on, we then have the fears of being rejected. We have the fears of not being given to. We have the fears of being told that we're not worthy, or thinking, maybe even in the background, not even realizing that you believe you're not worthy, because where you've been programmed to receive these things from isn't giving it to you, no matter how much you believe or how much you're actually putting out into the world, so it can reciprocate back to you, right? I know it, again, it's one of those layered issues, and one of those issues that people who are aware and ready to digest a video like this will understand, and I guess others will just, it'll fly over their head. That's okay. So with all of what I've just said in mind, okay, understand that when you're existing in that place of yearning and needing and translating consciously that you're supposed to get those things from people on the outside, the bar you set for your self-worth and what you receive and how you receive is very low. And I say it's very low because over your lifetime you've been so starved of it all. Over your lifetime you've not once been shown or told or taught to be aware and conscious of yourself in that way, taught how to give to yourself, taught how to look at yourself, taught how to speak to yourself. Instead, you're taught to speak against yourself. The voice you have in your head is programmed against you, okay? And you don't realize it, that your voice in your head is programmed against you. And you can only program that voice for you the moment you become conscious of that voice in your head actually speaking to you, down on you, against you. And while that's all happening, you're also picking up on the energies of all the other people and the shit places that they're existing in their energy, conscious, and headspace, because their heads are also programmed, and their inner voices are also programmed against them. And I'm talking about the personality aspect, inner voice. Most people ignore the soul aspect because there's two voices. Okay. Now, when you look at your life and you maybe now for the first time, or you decide now to maybe, you decide now to maybe start taking it a little bit more seriously, or to giving it a bit more awareness, when you find yourself in an engagement or in a dynamic with certain people in your life who hold certain labels, right, of people you associate, or not people, but maybe of characters that you associate receiving love and giving love to, receiving from and giving to, right? If you look at those dynamics now, and you can maybe pick out 2 or 3 people that you feel treat you poorly, or that you look at right now that maybe you haven't fully looked at probably in the past, and you are able to digest now that, okay, yes, these people treat me poorly. In the past, maybe you didn't want to acknowledge that they treated you poorly. There are many reasons why you wouldn't want to acknowledge that people treat you poorly. could be the programming you have around the labels, right? That you get comfortable in and that give you a false sense of security, that the programming you have and the fear, coupled with the fear that you have of abandonment, coupled with the fear that you have of rejection, coupled with the fear that you have of, you know, of being lonely, because from a child you're programmed that it's not good to be alone. From a child you're programmed that, you know, being isolated and being alone is something that's always associated to the negative, something that's always associated to the exclusion, something, you know, all of that nasty stuff that makes you afraid of yourself, afraid of being by yourself, afraid of being in a situation that you could interpret as not being a part of and not being and not belonging, right? So maybe it's the programming you have and the false sense of security that you've developed within yourself through the stories and the expectations and the whatever else it is that you associate to the labels that you place on certain people in your life. I don't care if it's your mother. Mothers are a big one. Okay? Even a friend. If they treat you poorly, they treat you poorly. Get to a point where the label doesn't surpass, the label doesn't override you setting a higher bar for how you allow people to treat you, for the expectations you allow people to have out of you, for the way you allow people to speak to you, for you not allowing yourself to recognize when someone is being ungrateful, when someone is taking you for granted. It's all been inverted. You need to flip it back around and put your self-worth above the label. Put your self-worth above the stories. Another reason, sorry, I think I wrote something down here. Okay, so another reason that could also maybe be behind you allowing yourself to be treated poorly, right? Sometimes, and in my life, this has been a big lesson for me. It was a recurring theme and a recurring dynamic in my life. And again, one of those things that for me stemmed from, I can't even say stemmed, but it was the biggest realization for me came through whatever traumatic issues I had to work through when it came to my mother. Okay, so it could be that there's a denial and a fear of releasing an illusion that you have around your relationship between yourself and somebody else. Sometimes the expectations, the intentions, the hopes, and also the beliefs and the expectations around the label, right? So let's say, for instance, your mother, right? Sometimes the perspectives you have do not align. The expectations the two of you have of one another do not align. The intentions do not align. You may come into but you deal with the relationship with your mother from a perspective of, she's my mother. She loves me regardless. It's supposed to be unconditional, right? She's not supposed to want to hurt me. She's not supposed to want to use me. She's not supposed to, want to see things like finances or her ego issues or her envy issues or her jealousy issues or her competitive issues or whatever issues it might be. You, with the expectations uh, and the hopes and the intentions you hold inside with regards to how you hope your relation or how you believe your relationship with your mother is actually supposed to be in reality, may not align with the reality of what your mother has going on inside her. Okay? And sometimes the illusions we have, the fears we have of the truth of a dynamic can put us into a position of kind of just accepting the poor behavior, accepting the poor treatment as something that just is, accepting it as a feature and a part of her love, or your father's love, or your friend's love, or your siblings' love, right? When really, it's not the reality. And the fear of having to confront that illusion can block you off from recognizing that you deserve better, recognizing that you're not operating in a perspective and in a mind space that says I'm living in my self-worth, that says I love myself, that recognizes the reality of a situation and is confident enough to say no. I can't change the next person. I can't change, what they believe this relationship with me is all about, regardless of whether I'm their child or whether they're my mother or they're my father or whoever it is. But I do recognize now that I'm being treated poorly, and it's up to me to change the way I deal with it, right? And that doesn't mean now start lashing out, start fighting, start calling them out, because in most cases, if people are not ready to hear and deal and digest what you are going through, or what you think, what you have to say, if they're not going to take it in, and you're going to put yourself into a situation again of feeling unseen and unheard, and again that requires you to move yourself out of the programming of needing to be seen, needing to be heard, needing to be acknowledged. Because in most cases, if they were to ask you, well, what do you want me to do? You wouldn't even be able to give an answer. But you've been programmed to believe that not being seen and not being heard, not being acknowledged by certain people on the outside is a bad thing, is a wrong thing. It should be given priority over the acceptance and understanding of what the reality of a situation is, right? Another one could be that you are under the illusion of feeling bound, right? Sometimes you just take poor treatment, you take poor behavior because you believe that you're bound financially. You believe that you're bound. No one, it's in your head, okay? If you ever think that you're stuck and that you're bound, you're not. You're generally just a decision away. But it's your fears, okay? What are you afraid of? Is you telling yourself that you're bound? Is it an unconscious excuse because you're afraid of the unknown? You're afraid what comes on the other side of a decision of choosing yourself. You're afraid of what comes on the other side of saying no, putting up a boundary, moving away, acknowledging the poor behavior. Oftentimes you're not bound. barrier you've put up in your mind, a reason you've put up in your mind because you're afraid. Other people are, will tell themselves that they're bound and that they find a reason, not even consciously realizing that they're choosing that as a reason because they don't want to, maybe they're conflict averse. They don't want to engage in conflict. They're afraid of the conflict. Because not everybody is someone who is built to be confrontational. Not everybody, gets a kick out of, trying to overpower another person verbally. There can be fears about all of those things, whether it's the reality of a situation or not. Everybody's dealing with their things inside. So, Spirit wants us to take the time. If you have people in your life who are taking advantage, if you have people in your life, you're paying their bills, and yet they still have the audacity to speak to you and treat you like you're a fucking doormat. Speak to you and treat you in a way that they wouldn't even probably treat their own mother or their father or their sibling or their relative or whoever it might be, that may not even be doing what you're doing for them. And for whoever that's for, I'm sorry that you're in that situation. That's a shitty situation to be in. But again, recognize where you are, where you have the power, okay? Recognize where people actually need you, but your own inner issues, your own inner fears, the illusions you're under, your complacency, or you just having acclimated yourself to being treated poorly, make you put the power into the hands of somebody else. Make you relinquish whatever abilities you have to actually change your situation, change the dynamic, leave an environment. Telling yourself you're bound because maybe there's a process you have to go through. Telling yourself you're bound because of material things, because of money, because of all these things that, in the end are the only barrier to you actually moving into a place where you have peace and moving to a place where you have the freedom to decide, make your choices, and, ascend and elevate from situations that are not meant to be a part of your story. Don't be afraid of people's reactions. Don't be afraid of people's emotions. When you're being treated poorly and you're afraid to actually be in your power, walk away, say no, pull your financing back. Choose not to engage. Tell somebody, you don't speak to me like that. Assert yourself, and I don't mean violently. When those situations come along, who's the master in your life? Is it you? Is it the other person who manipulates you and who oppresses you and who treats you poorly and who speaks to you like you're a fucking piece of shit? Who uses emotions and manipulation and gaslighting and all these things put you under illusions that they have more power, that you owe them. You owe it to them. And you still somehow, because of whatever issues you might have inside that you don't want to face, don't want to look at, or whatever it might be, or don't have told yourself in some way, have an unrealized fear that there might not be something else for you on the other side of releasing whatever might not be having you in your highest energy, light, and emotion. or feeling or experience or perspective. Don't be afraid, okay? There's always something better for you on the other side of you choosing yourself. Even if it is your peace of mind, even if it is the strength that you're cultivating and building, even if it is a better relationship with yourself, even if it is more finances for yourself, even if it is releasing a toxic person from your life. On the other side of choosing yourself, there is something better, always. So ask yourself, who's the master in the situation when you become afraid, when you find yourself afraid to not take being treated poorly. Is it the next person? Is it you? Is it a higher power that you look up to, that you believe in, who will generally be what you choose when you're choosing yourself? Don't give the people around you more power. It's only an illusion. You choose to give that power over, okay? You allow yourself to be treated poorly. And I'm telling you, after this video, Spirit is going to start amplifying in you. Whoever comes across this video, Spirit is going to start amplifying the ugly feeling in you when you engage with somebody who is treating you poorly. And in that moment, you need to recognize the divine is asking you, are you choosing yourself, or are you going to relinquish yourself to this person on the outside who is treating you poorly? Okay? You don't ever need anything from somebody on the outside, especially if you haven't yet embarked on trying to give it to yourself. You've only been programmed that whatever you think you're lacking, you need to receive from the outside. And in most cases, once you start choosing yourself and you let the outside know that you're cool without them, you're cool without it, they start looking at themselves and suddenly they realize, oh my goodness, it was that person that made me feel powerful. It was that person that made me feel like I was important. It was that person submitting to me. That person who listened to and did whatever I said, paid the bill when I said pay the bill, gave me the money when I said give me the money, moved when I said jump, and asked me how high, made me feel good, gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it. Okay? So, recognize how you feel when you're being treated poorly, and try and just think about, what the opposite would be like for you. And don't do it from a place of ego. Don't do it from a place of ego. Everything will be fine. Just be sure to choose yourself, okay? Anyway, I'm going to choose a card, pull a card from today, from the guidebook. Excuse me. I'm going to choose a card from the guidebook by Sonia Chike, okay? Trust Your Vibes Oracle cards, and Chike and see what Spirit has to support our conversation, or give somebody who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction, okay? Let's see. May I please have one card, Spirit? to love yourself. Learn to go within. Learn to not give yourself over to the outside. And learn to not allow people to treat you poorly. I don't care if it's your mother. Okay? Don't let people out there treat you like you gave birth to them. Or like you're entitled, or like they're entitled to have you handle them like they're your responsibility. Don't let people treat you poorly. Okay? And it also, it makes the ancestors, it makes the divine sad, because they're on the other side. Well, not on the other side, they're here just in a higher vibration and in a higher frequency and density. And they see everything, and to them it's like, these people, like, why do they let people treat them so badly? Most of the people that, especially empaths, are surrounded by are bullies. Entitled bullies who also love starved, who are also distorted in the mind, and they are draining. They put you down and they treat you poorly, because then you start believing and thinking that you need to do more, you need to give more, that you owe it to be able to receive as well. Okay? Don't let people get you mixed up into all of that. Let's see what the book has to say. Number 19. Right now, you don't possess all the soul skills you need to resolve your life challenges. It's time to learn more in order to find answers and move to a higher vibration of personal peace. Thankfully, you're being contacted by a very important range of personal guides called spirit teachers, whose primary purpose is to inspire you to learn. They will also direct you to teachers and classrooms that will help you fulfill your soul's ambitions. Listen for your spirit teachers today. As they work, relevant information will be placed in front of you in the form of brochures, announcements, or invitations to new classrooms and teachers on the earth plane. Your spirit teachers may also work through messengers who spontaneously make recommendations for learning, sometimes for no apparent reason. Your role is to be an open-minded student. Your entire earthly experience is designed to be a classroom for the soul. Ask yourself, what have I learned lately? What have I learned lately? What am I called to learn next? And am I willing to learn? Then listen for your spirit teachers to help you answer these questions. They'll guide you when you're ready. Okay? So, from now on, after you've watched this video, when it's amplified within you, when you're in a situation and someone's treating you poorly, and you suddenly feel it stronger than what you have before, understand your spirit team is with you, your ancestors are with you, and they're amplifying that feeling within you to make you aware, asking you, okay, slow down now. In this situation, they're treating you like shit. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna choose yourself peacefully? Or are you going to just let this ride again? Are you going to continue putting up with this? Generally, they want you to get rid of that person. I know it sounds horrible, but if you're in a cycle where people are being treated poorly, they've long surpassed their stay in your life. Okay? And it's only you and your attachment issues and your fears that are keeping them there, because generally those people, you don't need them. They're not really bringing anything to you. They're entitled. They believe they're entitled to whatever it is they're getting from you. Okay, I don't care. It could be financial, physical, material, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, attention-wise, or whatever. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna stop there. Alright, I hope that it's resonated, and if you've come this far, please do like, share, and subscribe, okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye.